Hello all. So in this session I am going to discuss about low pressure measurement or vacuum measurement. So unit of vacuum is torr or micrometer. So what are the various devices that we can use for measuring this low pressure? Okay, these are given here. McLeod gauge, Knudsen gauge, viscosity gauge, thermal conductivity gauges, ionization gauges and dual gauge techniques. These are the few techniques. Okay. So before that, I have told the units of vacuum, torr and micrometer. Here, what is torr? 1 torr. 1 torr is a pressure which is equivalent to 1 millimeter Hg at standard conditions, and 1 micrometer is 10 raised to minus 3 torr. Okay. Manometers and bellows gauges are usable to about 0.1 torr only, and Borden gauges can be used up to 10 torr only, and diaphragm gauges can be used up to 10 raised to minus 3 torr. So below such ranges, that is at a low pressure values, some other type of vacuum gauges are necessary. So for such cases, we are using these gauges. Okay. So first one, McLeod gauge. So it is a vacuum standard since the pressure can be computed from dimensions of gauge. So this is the figure showing this McLeod gauge. Actually, this represents three stages of working of this McLeod gauge. So let us see what are they. So at first, what is this construction of this McLeod gauge? In this figure, from this figure A, you can see there is a plunger and there is a cylindrical portion or a tube is here, and here you can see A and B. So this A and B are capillary tubes, okay, and V, the volume B, you can see it is a bulb type portion, okay. So here by withdrawing the plunger, if you are withdrawing the plunger, the mercury level is lowered to a position of figure A. Okay, if you are withdrawing the plunger to upward, if you are moving the plunger upward, then mercury level is lowered as you can see in the figure A. Now, if the plunger is pushed down or pushed in, what will happen? So the mercury level will goes up and it will seal the gas sample of known volume V in the bulb and capillary tube. Okay, so we are moving this plunger, pushing this plunger inward. So this level over here rises up through this bulb towards this capillary tubes. Okay. Similarly, if you are further pushing down this plunger completely or maximum, then it will causes the compression of this sample, liquid sample, that is mercury sample inside the bulb and capillaries. It will compress this, and thereby the motion of this mercury is continued until the mercury level in the capillary B is at a zero mark. So here you can see a scale, and this is the zero mark. At the top you can say zero mark. So when the level of the mercury inside the capillary B is this one. So when the level in this capillary B touches the zero mark, until this mercury starts to rise. So the pressure known at that time, at that particular point, it is the pressure that is to be known, that is to be calculated. Okay, so this is actually known by a Boyle's law equation. Here you can see this one. This one is the equations by which we can calculate the pressure. Okay, so at that point when the zero level of B is attained, we stop the moving the plunger. Then at that time, what is the height we will note down, and the volume, it is B is known volume, so we will already get that. Okay, so the pressure we need to calculate is what? It is P. Okay, So by this equation you can calculate this P. P is Pi plus H. So by using this McLeod gauge, it is important to realize that if the measured gas contains any vapors that are condensed by the compression process, then the pressure will be error. The obtained pressure will be an error one. So except for this effect, that is if the measured gas does not having any vapors, except for this such conditions, the reading of this McLeod gauge is not influenced by any gas. Okay, so if there is any gas component, then the obtained pressure will be an error one. Okay, in all other cases, then the measured value will be perfect. The main drawback of the McLeod gauge are the lack of a continuous output reading and the limitations on the lowest measurable pressures. When it is employed to calibrate other gauges, as that is, if you are employing this McLeod gauge for calibrating other gauges, pressure gauges, then a liquid air cold trap should be used between this McLeod gauge and the gauge to be calibrated. If you are using some liquid air cold trap, then it will prevent the passage of mercury vapor. So gaseous influence can be avoided. Okay. So that is about McLeod gauge. So next lowest pressure or vacuum measurement is Knudsen gauge. So this is the figure of this Knudsen gauge. So this Knudsen gauge is relatively insensitive to gas composition. Therefore, it can overcome the disadvantage of McLeod gauge because it can be used as or it can be developed as a standard for calibration of very low pressures, which cannot be done with McLeod gauge. Okay, so in this figure you can see the construction of this Knudsen gauge. Here the unknown pressure Pi is admitted to a chamber containing fixed plate. So these are the fixed plate. So this one and backward place this one are the fixed plate. Okay, so this chamber, inside this chamber we are keeping this structure. Okay, so the pressure Pi we are admitting towards into this chamber, and these fixed plates are heated to a temperature TV, TF, which temperature must be measured. Okay, so this temperature TF by which we are heating this fixed heated plates, we need to measure that. And here a spring restrained movable vane whose temperature TV. This frame like structure, it is the spring attached, a spring restrained movable vane. It is a movable vane, whereas these two are fixed vanes, fixed plate, and this one is a movable plate. Okay, so this movable vane has a temperature TV. This also must be known. This TV also must be known. Okay, the spacing between this fixed plate and this movable plates must be less than the mean free path of the gas whose pressure is being measured. Okay, so the gas will be having a pressure which we need to measure. Okay, so the mean free path of this gas, there will be a mean free path. So that value should be known, and below that value we should maintain the distance between these fixed and movable plates. Okay, the kinetic theory of gases shows that gas molecules rebound from the heated plates with greater momentum than from the cooler movable vane. Okay, so this movable vane temperature is somewhat lesser than the fixed plate temperature. Now by gas law, as I have told, the gas particle will get rebound from the heated plate with a greater speed or greater momentum than from the comparatively cooler plate. Okay, so this gas particle which are rebounding from this fixed plate will be having a momentum which will give rise to a net force on this movable vane, which will lead to the movement of this movable vane. Okay, that is, a deflection will be occurred to this movable vane. This deflection or the movement of on this movable vane is measured by the deflection of the spring suspension. Okay, so by determining or measuring the spring suspension or the deflection of this movable vane, we can obtain how much heat that is happened here, which will be proportional to this Pi. Okay, or this Pi input pressure can be determined from this formula. Okay, we know TF is known, TV is known, that is temperature of both plate is known, and this F is the force, and this net force will be proportional to the moment of this movable vane. So by calculating the deflection, we can obtain F. So if F is known, this equation can be calculated by which Pi can be measured. Okay, so this is the working of Knudsen gauge and by which how we can measure the Pi. Okay, one more thing, there is a scale here, and from the scale we are determining the displacement of this movable vane. Okay, so that is the working of this Knudsen gauge. And so next lower pressure measurement technique. So this is a momentum gauge. So in this case, for pressures less than about 10 raised to minus 2 torr, then the kinetic theory of gases says that the viscosity of a gas will be directly proportional to the pressure in such level of the pressure, that is less than 10 raised to minus 2 torr. So in this case, the viscosity of that gases must be measured in terms of torque required to rotate something at a constant speed. Okay, so here the torque is used to rotate a concentric cylinder within which is kept in another surrounding cylinder. Okay, so here for pressures greater than about 1 torr, then we need to know that in such cases the viscosity is independent upon pressure. Okay, so this system is for pressures less than 10 raised to minus 2 or 1 torr. So this gauge is calibrated for dry air and it covers a range from 0 to 20 torr. Okay, the range from 0 to 0.01 torr occupies about 10% of the total scale. Okay, so the capacity is 0 to 20 torr. We can measure that much pressure by this method. Okay, so if you are using this technique for low pressure measurement, that is 0 to 0.01 torr, then that values will be about 10% of total scale only. Okay, so this is the scale you can see here. So the scale is non-linearly calibrated because most of the range is about 10 raised to minus 2 torr. Okay, so here the viscosity is not proportional to pressure. We need not to be considered that. Okay, to enable the readings above 1 torr, where the viscosity will become pressure independent. So if we need to measure the readings or the pressure which is above 1 torr, the bladed wheels rather than smooth concentric cylinders are used in this case. Okay, bladed wheels will be used instead of concentric cylinders. So that will be the difference while reading the pressures above 1 torr. Okay, because in such cases viscosity will become pressure independent. Okay, so that is the working of this momentum transfer gauges or momentum gauges. By a motor we are rotating this cylinder, and the pressure which is given as an input to the chamber in which we are keeping the system will be proportional to the reading obtained here. Okay, so that is the working of this. Next one, thermal conductivity gauges. So this is the thermocouple gauge or thermal conductivity gauge figure. Here you can see a bottle like chamber is given, and into the upward we are inputting the pressure Pi, and so the hot surface is a thin metal strip. This is the hot surface, it is a thin metal strip, and the temperature of this strip may be varied by changing the current passing through it. So this is a current this is the current. By changing the current which we are passing through this setup, we can vary the temperature of this metal strip. Okay, how we can change the current? By varying this rheostat. Okay, or this variable resistance. By varying this variable resistance, we can vary the current passing through this metal strip. And if the current is varied, then the temperature of this metal strip will get varied. Okay, for a given heating current and a gas inside this chamber, then the temperature assumed by the hot surface depend upon the pressure. Okay, so this temperature is measured by thermocouple welded to the hot surface. So this is a thermocouple, and this thermocouple is welded to this metal strip. So the temperature of this metal strip for a particular gas and for a particular current can be measured by this thermocouple in this meter, microampere meter. So here the cold surface is the glass surface. So this is a glass tube, glass chamber. Okay, so that is a cold surface, and this surface or this cold surface will be almost nearly equal to room temperature. Okay, so these thermocouple ranges are available to measure in the range of 10 raised to minus 4 to 1 torr. Okay, so this is another method of low pressure or vacuum measurement, ionization gauge. Here also air enclosed chamber and an input pressure is given. So here a cathode is here. So this cathode is heated by passing current through it, and by varying current we can change the temperature of this cathode. So as this cathode is heated, the electrons will get emitted from this cathode, and these electrodes will be electrodes that is ionized will be ionized. The ionized gases will be filled inside this chamber. Okay, so these ions along with electrons will be collected by this ion collector. Okay, and it is measured over here, and the electrons will be collected by this electron collector, and which will constitute a current and can be determined by this meter. Okay, so by analyzing the readings of both this meter, we can determine both this ion current and the electron current, from which we can determine the pressure. So this is the ionization gauge working. So main disadvantage of this type of device is that hot cathode gases are filament burnout if exposed to air, while hot decomposition of some gases by a hot filament, and the contamination of the measured gas by gases forced out of the hot filament. Okay, hot cathode gauges will cover a range from 10 raised to minus 10 to 1 torr. So that is all about low pressure or vacuum measurement.